Well, thanks for watching our video again this week as we continue our journey through the Bible chronologically. This week we start from Genesis chapter 27. We end in Genesis chapter 45. We're studying the story, really, of Isaac. We pick up with Isaac and we end with his grandson, Joseph. What we see in that story of Joseph is his brothers, all 12 of them, come together and sell him off into slavery. If you're familiar with that particular story, he lives in Egypt and he rises to prominence in Egypt. And then at the end of this week's reading, you come to the story where Joseph meets up with his brothers. It's the words that Joseph uses that I want to encourage you with this week. They come from chapter 45, starting in verse 4. He says, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourself because you sold me here." Now listen to this phrase. "For God sent me before you to preserve life." And then in verse 8 again, he says, "So it was not you who sent me here, but God." After a long time of looking at the situation that Joseph found himself in, he began to give God the glory as much for the difficulties he went through. At the end of his life, he gets to see how God works out everything to God's glory. I find it to be fascinating, especially if you're facing difficult times right now. You can see that someday you may be able to look back and see that God is bringing glory even out of your hardship. Hope you enjoy the reading this week. God bless.